Breakdown.
What's up guys, Secert here, and man, it's been a year since I last did this. Gaming news is finally back. I've been planning to bring it back for so long, but I didn't really have the time until I thought of a better way to do it, and that's by doing webcam videos of gaming news. That's how it's going to be from now on, because, you know, it's pretty easy, and I don't really get to show my faces often through the walkthroughs, because they're a little bit more easier to do when I don't show my face. They're easy to convert. But apart from that, I have some gaming news to deliver, starting off with the news on Rockstar wants Red Dead Online to be as robust as GTA Online, and it might consider Red Dead Redemption 3. Red Dead Redemption 2 has a 60-hour story produced by 100-hour work weeks at Rockstar. Marvel's Spider-Man originally had more Sinister Six missions and fights. The first details of The Last of Us team's secret new project leaked. And pro skater Tony Hawk is working on a new mobile game. So the first article I'll be reading from to start off the return of gaming news is Red Dead Redemption Online and a possible Red Dead Redemption 3. I'll be reading from VG247.com. Red Dead Redemption 2 releases at the end of this month, but its online portion won't be there. There's a beta for Red Dead Online coming in November, which should give us all time to get through the 60-hour story of Red Dead Redemption 2. We want it to be as robust as Grand Theft Auto Online once it's found its feet creatively, Rockstar founder Dan Houser told Vulture. If Rockstar achieves its goal, you can expect the mode to get constant updates and refreshes just like GTA Online and how it has evolved over the years. As for what lies beyond that, Rockstar says it isn't against doing another Red Dead game in the future, if this one does well enough, and we think we have other interesting things to say. Now, for the Red Dead Redemption 2 60-hour story article, I'll be reading from Forbes.com. Among the details in the new piece are the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 has a 65-hour story campaign recently cut down to 60 after editing out a second love interest for its lead, Arthur Morgan. It's a massive span of time, besting even this month's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a game where it took about 50 hours to get through its main story. A direct quote from Rockstar's Dan Houser in the piece says Rockstar was working 100-hour weeks several times in 2018 to finish the game, though neither Houser nor the interviewers seem to blink the figure. Crunch comes in all forms for games, both big and small depending on the work demanded and team sizes, but it does stand to reason that many AAA games we're seeing recently seem like they're enormous for being enormous at stake. While there is still a contingent of fans who will always measure dollars per hour as the ultimate metric of success for a game, the older many players get, the more games that respect both their time and the time of the developers making the game are attractive. In an era when only 30% of players will finish a 5-hour Call of Duty campaign, what exactly is the purpose of producing a 60-hour story that a fraction of players will ever see the end of? In doing so, while attracting an enormous physical and mental toll for employees. So there is a second part to this article, which I'll be reading from Kotaku.com, and I finally said it right because there have been other times in the past where I kept calling it Kotakus, but it's Kotaku, Kotakus. I got it right. So there's a part 2 to this article, like an update on it, which is, quotations of Dan Houser. The publishing, rewrites, and re-edits Rockstar does are immense. We were working 100-hour weeks, several times in 2018, Dan says. The finished game includes 300,000 animations, 500,000 lines of dialogue, and many more lines of code. Even for each Red Dead Redemption 2 trailer and TV commercial, we probably made 70 versions. but the editors may make several hundred. Sam and I will both make both. Okay, that's a little weird. It says both make. Sam and I will both make lots of suggestions, as will other members of the team. There seems to be some confusion arising from my interview with Harold Goldberg. The point I was trying to make in the article was related to how the narrative and dialogue in the game was crafted, which was mostly what we talked about, not about the different process of the wider team. After working on the game for 7 years, the senior writing team, which consists of 4 people, Mike Unsworth, I may pronounce these names wrong, but Mike Unsworth, Rupert Humphrey, yeah, I'll just say Rupert, forget the last one, Laszlo and myself had, as we always do, 3 weeks of intense work when we wrapped everything up. 3 weeks, not years. We have all worked together for the last 12 years now, and we feel we need this to get everything finished. After so many years of getting things organized and ready on this project, we needed this to check and finalize everything. More importantly, we obviously don't expect anyone else to work this way. Across the whole company, we have some senior people who work very hard purely because they're passionate about a project or their particular work, and we believe that passion shows in the games we release. But that additional effort is a choice, and we don't ask or expect anyone to work anything like this. Lots of other senior people work in an entirely different way and are just as productive. I'm just not one of them. No one, senior or junior, is ever forced to work hard. I believe we go to great lengths to run a business that cares about its people and to make the company a great place for them to work. Now, for Spider-Man PS4's original plans of the Secert 6 missions and fights, I'll be reading from comicbook.com. PlayStation 4 exclusive Marvel Spider-Man originally featured more Secert 6 missions and fights during the game's final act, creative director Brian Attar has revealed. In Act 3 Marvel Spider-Man's final act that begins after the prison break, there was originally more screen time for the Secert 6 villains. According to aforementioned Intihar, originally Vulture, Electro, and Rhino all had their own boss fight missions, which is different than the final game, which lumped Rhino and Scorpion into a boss fight, as well as Electro and Vulture. Intihar explains that the team combined some of the Secert 6 boss fights into each other simply for quality reasons and to avoid the fights from feeling like fluff. Originally, we had more missions with Rhino, Vulture, Electro that were outside what you saw in the final game, said Intihar while speaking to Game Informer. But what happened was that A, we were kind of running out of time, and B, it felt like a lot of fluff at the end. It just felt like a lot of fluff. It didn't hit the quality bar. At the end of the day, we wanted to say quality was most important. What we ended up doing was we started trimming down these extra missions and activities and started condensing things. And the beauty of that was things like the Electro Vulture boss fight actually wind up being way better than having the 2 separate fights that we were going to do. It tied better into the story and the flow of Act 3, so the constraint actually ended up making for a better product. In the final product, it was really only Mr. Negative who got his own meaty boss fight. But unlike the rest of the villainous group, Mr. Negative was present long before the prison break and had a much bigger role in the game's entire story. So it makes sense his fight wasn't lumped into the others. Now for the Naughty Dog secret new project leak, I'll be reading from also comicbook.com. Well, according to Daniel R., a writer for Super Bros movies and an insider who is known for leaking information mostly related to DC and Marvel films and TV shows, Naughty Dog has already began casting for a secret new project in Los Angeles. Further, it is revealed that the studio is looking for a black African-American male in his 40s to 60s for one of the game's lead. And apparently the casting call attached a photo of Chad Coleman, Tyrese from The Walking Dead, for reference, because the studio wants someone with a body type that is strong but not chiseled, and who has short to medium length hair. And this article also comes with the tweet and the picture from Daniel R. As always, all reports, rumors, leaks, etc. should be taken with a grain of salt. However, the aforementioned leaker does have a reputation of releasing accurate information, so there's a good chance these are actually the first details of Naughty Dog's next game after The Last of Us Part 2 and its first new IP since 2013. From the sound of it, the project is very, very early on in development, so don't expect to hear anything about it anytime soon, if it's real that is. Besides, Naughty Dog still has to focus on bringing The Last of Us Part 2, which currently doesn't have a release date to market, so buckle in because it will be a while. And the last article I'll be reading today is the new Tony Hawk mobile game, which I'll be reading from toucharcade.com. So apparently this new Tony Hawk mobile game was leaked on Instagram by an Instagram user that goes by the name Fuck Advertisements, and the article states, over the weekend, they, who is Fuck Advertisements, posted a screenshot of the warehouse level of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which is the image I can't look at without hearing Goldfinger's Superman. What? I jumped into the comments seeing what sort of nostalgia people were sharing and found Tony Hawk himself chatting with everyone, even mentioning that there's a new Tony Hawk mobile game coming soon-ish. So this article also included a snapshot from Instagram of the picture of the warehouse level from the new upcoming Tony Hawk mobile game, in which it does include Tony Hawk actually in the chat. We've reached out to all of our contacts that might be able to get us more details on the game and expect to hear back at some point today. In the meantime, it seems safe to begin speculating what kind of game Tony Hawk could be working on. Personally, I'd be 110% satisfied if they just went back to release Shred's Session. It was a great game, but if nothing else, it's nice knowing something is in the works. So, some pretty good news today, and especially for a return like this. I stopped for a bit, but because at one point, and it was a year ago that my computer started working very badly to the point where I couldn't do gaming news anymore, and I couldn't do a few videos for a while, for at least about 2 months. And then when I finally got it back, I never came back to doing gaming news. But it's great to finally do gaming news back. That didn't make sense. It's great to do gaming news, and it's great to see that it's back. That's what I meant to say, not it's great to do gaming news back. That just sounds weird. Huh. I gotta work on my reading. But if you enjoyed today's gaming news episode, or at least the return of gaming news, smash that like button, comment, subscribe, look me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and as always, I will see you next time. And it says the publishing, rewrites, and while there is still a contingent of fans who will always measure dollars per hour as the ultimate metric of success, damn it. Now for the I gotta burp so much. Okay, oh boy, it froze. Damn. Typical. Very typical. Very, very typical. Okay. Got it. Now for Spider-Man PS4's original ideas of the Sinister Six missions and fights, I'll be reading from, you know, I probably should have pulled it up. Yeah. But it was comic book though. Comicbook.com, yeah. We want it to be as robust as Grand Theft Auto Online. Once it's found its feet creatively, Rockstar founder God,